So I'm Abby, like they said, and so I've been playing rugby for the past 6 years. I have always played for a bigger rugby club, and I and I recently played in the regional girls series. I've played a few different positions in the backs, mainly a 10 or a centre, and I joined through a family connection. My brothers were playing, and Bigger ran like summer camps for kids, and it was quite cheap childcare, so I was encouraged to go along with my brothers and then fell in love with the sport. Previous to rugby, I tried lots of different sports. I was quite into swimming, but didn't really enjoy swimming very much. I didn't get on with my coaches very well. And when I joined rugby, it was such a welcoming environment for me. I loved that the coaches from the get-go, they didn't care if you made a mistake. They always went off that, like, as long as you were trying, they were happy with that. Mistakes were fine. And it was really nice because rugby, there's so many different positions and different body types. There was a position for everyone. And it was a really welcoming environment, and I just fell in love with the sport ever since then.
So I'm Georgina. I have played rugby for 12 years. I started off at Kinross Rugby Club and then moved on to Tayside and Fife when I could no longer play for my mini section. Tayside and Fife then disbanded, and I ended up playing for Perthshire Rugby Club. At the time when I played, it was Caledonia Regional rather than the Regional Game Series, so I played in the Caledonia region. And then I was part of the Scotland Under-18s training squad. My coach is in here, so I'm trying not to boost him up too much. I currently used to play flanker. Unfortunately, an injury has stopped me from playing, but I now coach. I'm on the youth panel, and I'm also a women and girls community coach with Scottish Rugby. I started playing rugby through school. We got some taster sessions in at our school, and like Abby, I'd played loads of sports before, and I didn't really find that I fitted in with any of the sports that we played. Being on a slightly heavier side when I was a kid, rugby was really good for me. It was really welcoming. Gave me a chance to play a sport and felt like I fitted in. When I was growing up, I was a young carer for some of my family members, so it gave me a chance to really express myself, which I know fits in with Article 13 of our human rights, children's rights. So I got the chance to express myself, I got the chance to hit some folk, you know, just what you want to do when you're playing rugby.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I've been playing rugby for 11 years now. I started off at Paisley Rugby Club. I then moved when I was about S1 to S3 to Cartha. I moved due to the fact I played in a mixed team. Well, I say mixed team, it was a boys team and Charlotte. I then moved to Cartha and joined the women's team. Well, not women's, the girls team. It was a lovely atmosphere. The girls were so kind and welcoming. I then also took part in the regional game series, which was a good experience to meet new people, play sport we all love, and work on my skills. I normally play front row, but you name somewhere in a scrum, I've played it. I don't say that I like to, but we're in the scrum. I went down with family to a sporting event. It was for my brother to sign up for rugby. When it came to sports, I was the annoying wee sister. My brother's there, I'm there. He didn't like that, but hey-ho. So we went to sign him up for rugby, and she was the president at the time of Paisley Rugby Club. She just came up to me and went, "You're a girl?" And I went, "Correct." And she went, "You play rugby now?" And I've played ever since. I found rugby was a great way for me to meet new people. I was quite an anxious wee kid. Although I went to lots of public speaking things and I went to a lot of clubs, I found I struggled to speak publicly. I struggled to meet new people. I just preferred to hide behind my mates that I knew. And I found rugby was a good way of speaking to new people, because at the end of every game you do go speak to the other team. You may have just been knocking bits out of them 10 minutes ago, but after the game you always go and speak to each other. And I thought that was a great way for me to meet people in more of a comfortable environment. They're there because they want to be, and so am I. So I felt it was a great way to get me into sport and a great way to meet new people, and it's helped me so much throughout my life.
So we're all on the Scottish Rugby Youth Panel, which you might not have heard of. So it's not just us, that's a photo of some of the other members who are also on the panel with us. And this is a little clip from the Scottish Rugby website that we think explains the youth panel quite well. So it says, the Scottish Rugby Youth Panel has been established to provide a platform for youth perspectives to be listened to and understood. The panel plays an important role in providing influence in the number of Scottish rugby decisions as they work alongside the Rugby Development Department. So for us, a couple of years ago, there was this advert out of they're starting up a Scottish Rugby Youth Panel. There'd been one before COVID and then it fell apart and they wanted to relaunch it again. We all had different reasons for applying. There was coaches on it, we've got referees, players, some who've gone through, under 18 programmes, really high performance players, some just at club level. So there's a big mix of all of us. But for me, I decided to go on the youth panel because at a time after COVID, I felt quite frustrated with some of the decisions that Scottish Rugby were making. And instead of just, complaining to my mum about it when I got home, when this came through, I was like, well, this could be a really good opportunity for me to actually make a change, because I felt like I had all these ideas and I didn't understand why certain decisions were being made. So the best thing for me to do, I thought, was, well, why don't I try to get myself onto this? And then people will listen to my opinions and hopefully will be able to help change. So the others will explain why they also wanted to join.
I'm not going to lie, I joined the youth panel because my mum sent me a link and told me to. After filling it out and reading through it though, I did realise how great of an opportunity it was, and I did my coaching qualification through the SRU and my refereeing through the SRU with my close friend Alan, who was also on the youth panel. So as soon as I got the email link, I knew I was sending it to him going, you're signing up for this as well. And we discussed it and we decided it was a great way to do it. So we went forward, we got through all the interviewing process and we realised this is a great way for us to have our word and get to understand why the SRU do what they do and how actually this impacts us. So although sometimes you see things that are passed and they're like, why did you do that? Which is a great question. We actually got to see how they did it and why, and it made a lot more sense, and it meant I could speak to the girls in my club and more explain why we're doing things, but also get feedback from them and take it straight to the source. It skipped out a few bits and it meant we could go straight to the source and be like, this is what we want, this is how we're going to do it, and it's a great way to get our opinions in.
I joined the youth panel because my regional manager, also known as my boss, sent me the link saying apply. So I did, and having conversations with the regional manager, it was being out in the community with doing my job. I also get their opinions and I can take them into the panel as well. So it gives me the chance not only to share my opinions but also make an impact on the community that I'm out working with. And also I feel like when I was growing up playing rugby, I didn't really feel like we had a voice. Just because the panel wasn't there at the time and I was 12, I was kind of immature at the time. So now growing up you can realise that there are things that are in place to help children in rugby have a voice, and the youth panel, we're just a small part of that helps for future generations coming through rugby to have their voice and know that their opinions are being heard. Was it me again? So our experiences within the Scottish Rugby Youth Panel, we kind of chose 4 key articles that we saw that we thought linked to our experiences within the panel. So our first one was Article 12, which is about sharing my experiences and opinions and ideas and be taken seriously and involved in decisions that affect me. So within the youth panel, we get to work with several members of Scottish Rugby. We also have a link called Fraser, he's excellent, who works with Scottish Rugby, but he also has our backs as well. So we come together, have meetings, we talk about our experiences, we talk about what works for us at our clubs, what maybe doesn't work at our clubs, and if there's any ideas from other clubs that we can take to ours. And then that all gets fed back into Scottish Rugby.
Another article we decided to use is Article 17, which is get information as long as it's safe. I thought this was quite an ideal one, as I thought going into the youth panel that it was essential for me to learn more about why we do things, how we do it, and how it affects the players. Because before joining the youth panel, I was only on the receiving end. I only just found out what was happening and it impacted me. I never got to find out why or how. So it's a great way of me finding out why we're doing it, and I was also able to take it back to my club and explain it to them, so it made a lot more sense and I felt like I was more in the talks. It wasn't just happening to me and I didn't have a say.
So another one is Article 3, have adults think about my best interests when making decisions that impact me. So for this one, we think it's really important because that's one of the driving reasons that we all probably applied to the panel, because we wanted the adults making the decisions to listen to the young people, like the young people on the panel, but also the people that didn't make it onto the panel, all the people at our clubs, all the clubs that aren't represented by the panel. And often some of the work that we do on the panel is just to basically give our opinion on things that are being done. Sometimes we give it quite brutally, and I think they feel that sometimes. But that's why we're there. We're there because they're making decisions for us that are going to impact our experience in sport, so they need to listen to what we think of them. So that's why we decided to go on the panel, so that we can explain, yeah, we think that's a good idea, no, that's not a good idea, and just give our experiences to them, so that it just makes everyone's life easier, because then, you know, they're making decisions that they know the youth people will be backing, but also we're able to make sure that we agree with what's going on.
The last one that we selected was Article 13. Every child must be free to express their thoughts and opinions and to access all kinds of information as long as it's within the law. Obviously with our meetings we get the opportunity to do this, but we also have the chance to have conversations with other members of Scottish Rugby, so our key stakeholders, and they're very open to listening to us, and just as much as we say we don't really agree with something, they're very happy to say if they don't agree with stuff that we've said as well, which works both ways. You know, a conversation should be a two-way thing. So within these conversations with stakeholders, you know, we get to express our thoughts, opinions, and then they'll give us some information about things that might be coming up, things that they're planning, that link in with what we've said, so it'll help kind of, not, how do you say it? So it'll help create an anticipation of what's to come. Let's go with that.
Our question for discussion is, how does your sport allow children the opportunity to have a voice?